Last time on Dragon Ball Z, Kakarot Company made it to level 2 of Babidi's Game of Death. We're hoping the homely hermit adjusted the difficulty slider just a bit, or else the boredom of coming to the ship might take them out before any of his hired help could. Recognizing finally that the company had in its midst weren't your ordinary Earth-based cannon fodder, Bob decided that it was time to rip the band-aid off and pull out one of his best, unleashing the apparently infamous beast Yakon upon the dreadfully unimpressed Z-fighters. Hoping to give his fumbling freelancer every advantage possible, Babidi hit the level editor and engulfed the room in darkness, believing that the baffled Budokai goers would now have no chance against Yakon, who was born in the darkness, molded by it even. But once again, Babidi's guests continued to be full of surprises, with Goku releasing the tingles in his back and transforming, giving Yakon a supersized 3-course entree that one could say left him full to bursting. With two of their elite guard now chilling in that big waiting room in the sky, Dabura decided he was up next to bat and would put an end to the Earthlings' fun and games before they could prove themselves an actual nuisance to the relentless rodents' plans for Majin Buu's resurrection. But before Gohan could begin battling the washed-up allegations, the other half of the Z crew had their wars to fight, as the battle royale for the World Tournament victor, as proposed by the champ himself, was set to begin. As soon as announcer Homie rang the bell, it was immediately apparent that tragedy was afoot. When Hercule saw how quickly those two goons got sent to the cleaners, it took every hair on his chest not to break out sobbing. But y'all already know that the only thing a real champ can do is pull through. And so when he saw that it was time for him to take on the Stallion and the Grand Wizard and a Nicki Minaj, he raised both fingers to the heavens in an effort to let the people know that there was no fear, and the champ was indeed here. Trunks saw this and all it did was piss him off for real, but he decided that if he wanted to bring that grown man check back to Capsule Corp so his mom wouldn't install that basketball court in the dining room like he's been hoping, he should put his utter distaste for the one they call Hercule Satan to the side and focus on the real threat standing in front of him, the lady that everyone in his family just called 18. There were so many questions little Trunks had about this lady. Why come every time he brings her up in front of his dad he starts tearing up a little and holding his arm? And why come they call her just 18? He thought it must have been because she was a rapper or something. But most of all, why come every time he sees her forehead in his reflection, he gets this weird feeling like in another universe or something, she has done things to him and his family that would bring the creators of the Geneva Convention down to their knees. These questions will have to wait another day though, because right now, the only thing that matters is securing the basketball court so he can continue running Goten's pockets for the foreseeable future. And it appears that 18 must have been thinking the same thing, because in a fraction of a second, the two are rushing each other down and coming to blows in the middle of the ring faster than Johnny Sins. And before anyone in the arena could process it, the femme fatale 18 and the tiny but mighty Manlet Mask were up in the air tagging each other back and forth in a flurry that was only rivaled by the show those golden-headed orphan boys were putting on a while earlier in the youth division. It's easy to forget about this scrap between 18 and the Saiyan boys simply because how much crap is going on at any one time throughout the Buu Saga, but this fight is worth revisiting because it's pure comedy all the way through, and it's 100% because of how Goten, Trunks, and 18's personalities play off each other. From the moment the scrap begins, Trunks and Goten are in each other's ear just as much as they are 18's, with Trunks yelling for Goten to just pretend like he has hands for 5 minutes and move properly so we can get a lick in, while Goten is getting Trunks up to speed on how difficult it is to properly dodge when you got sweaty Gooch taking up half your vision, and if Trunks knew how to throw a proper punch, the whole thing could have been done forever ago. And the whole time 18 is just watching us, wondering, one, how this mighty mass bozo can follow her up all the way at this height, and two, if Buddy just had a psychotic break in the middle of the boxing match, because if so, she is not about to fight an unmedicated clan member and she needs to put this dude to sleep with the quickness. And in that vein, 18 clasps her hands together and sends the duo flying down to the ground for what in reality should have been for the count. But collecting the check would not prove that easy, and Goten and Trunks used their little dirt nap as a temporary moment to reassess their strategy and figure out a new game plan. As they sat there dusty and concussed, Goten was like, "Look, Trunks, I'm a level with you, chief. We're getting cooked." Trunks immediately grew irate, telling his other half thanks for the observation. He couldn't tell while he was picking the rest of his teeth up off the ground. Actually, you know what, Goten? Let's tag out. Since you want to be in my ear this whole time talking about how you can do better, I'm about to let you fight this beast of a woman and you can tell me how you feel fighting for your life up there while I admire the scenery. On Kami and hailing a little Capsule Corp gooch gonna be the last of your worries when you're up there. And you know what? I'll even sweeten the deal. If you can land one solid punch on her, I'll give you my DS because I'm 100% certain it's not gonna happen. That was all Goten needed to hear as the two little rats scurried into position, this time with Goten taking top bunk and the two rushed off back into the fire with renewed vigor. At this point, 18 was just starting to get pissed off because nothing about this dude made sense. Bro's got the limbs of a 9-year-old with the torso of 2 Vern Troyers stacked on top of each other. And now ever since she sent dude flying back to the surface like a meteor, he's moving completely different. It's like it's a brand new guy out here fighting her. Eventually though, 18 decides new patient, same treatment, and sends the duo once again plummeting back into the tournament grounds at terminal velocity and hopefully giving them something to think about again before they're silly enough to step back up to a real stallion again. Then these fellas decide that it's time to take the Mickey Mouse gloves off, and Trunks and Goten turn Super Saiyan after narrowly dodging a ki blast from her, powering up to deliver the favor back at her. Goten senses how salty Trunks is, and how absolutely he's fiending to get his get back, and he attempts to reason with Bro. Remind him that the goal isn't to send Marin's mom to snake way in front of all these people, maybe he should bring it down 1, maybe 2 notches. Trunks ain't listening though. All Buddy can hear at this point is the auditory hallucinations of his dad and a wife beater, making him do 1,600 push-ups and 1,000 times gravity, telling him how his MetaQuest is going in a wood chipper if he ever hears about him losing a fight to a female android of all people. And then this man lets it rip like a gnarly Beyblade straight at 18's glistening forehead, going directly for a kill shot. 18 smiled after seeing the golden aura, recognizing that trash transformation anywhere, and was a bit more at ease finally registering exactly who it was she was scrapping against. As she prepared to tank the blast though, moments before it came at her, she realized just how nasty a work it was and dodged out of the way, leaving it hurtling towards the stands as Trunks attempted to foreshadow the treatment the World Tournament attendees were about to get from his old man once he returned to the ring with his mama's boy tattoo. Deciding she couldn't risk the bag by prolonging the fight against these 2 delinquents any further, Android 18 looked over at Goten's parents and hit the emoji shoulder shrugs as if to say, this is why you need to take better care of your kids, before cooking up a Kienzan and sending it straight at the boys with the worst intentions. Seeing her bust out this hood classic brought a smile to my face for a couple of reasons. Not only because we haven't seen anyone pull this rabbit out of the hat for what feels like ages now, but thinking about the nuclear levels of game Big Krill had to be putting on her while he was teaching it. Nah, baby, you doing it all wrong. See, your arm needs to be here, then you put your hip over for full range of Actually, better yet, let me get up behind you real quick and show you. 1,000 zitty, that's how Marin came into the world. Had Roshi peeping the whole thing on the island like, that's my boy. Taught him that move before I taught him the Kamehameha. Turtles ain't the only thing about to get destroyed tonight. The Destructo Disc being fired off, though, proved to be the final nail in the coffin, as their lack of coordination proved to be the end of their Mighty Mass persona, and the costume ripped, revealing to those left in the audience with a room temp IQ that this was not in fact the fighter known as Mighty Mass, but the 2 junior division finalists up to Inspector Gadget level hijinks and making a mockery of the World Tournament stage. As soon as they saw their moms getting up out of their seat and announcer Sama yelling at them on the mic, Trunks and Goten goes to the ring with the quickness, telling the announcer that his tournament was cheeks anyway and to send his check to his P.O. box so his dad doesn't cash it in for Rogaine again like he did with his Christmas money. And now, with the bit players out of the mix, it was finally time to crown the champion. Who was truly the strongest under the heavens? Would it be the savior of the earth, the strongest man alive and far and away the crowd favorite, the man who needs no introduction, Mr. Satan? Or would it be the newcomer, the blonde bombshell, the beautiful and deadly dark horse of the tournament, who some might even call a stallion? None other than the enigmatic 18. Standing across from her, each of them occupying their separate locations in the ring, while Satan did his best to make a proud face and encourage his fans with his usual bravado, all he could see was death cloaked in a blonde wig staring back at him. It's like when a person walks near a vast cliffside and has this inexplicable urge to jump. The thought of it scares you in a near submission and you know it's a bad idea, but a part of you can't help but look anyway. And as for his opponent, she could not have been more ready. Her usual stoic demeanor now giving way to a modest but detectable grin, as if knowing for a fact that the man barely standing across from her's life was very much in her hands. Like a cat playing with a half-mangled mouse who allows it to run away far enough to think it's safe, the whole time it's one pounce and an urge away from being swallowed whole. Up in the stands, there may have been someone even more excited than 18 about her upcoming meal ticket, as Master Roshi danced around like a sewer dweller who just hit the Mega Millions, as he fantasized about 18 and Krillin finally paying their 7 years worth of back rent and chipping in for the rotation for once in their commie-forsaken lives, rather than promising to get them next time. As Satan battered his brain trying to figure out a way of the almost guaranteed public humiliation ritual he was about to experience, 18 gave him a few other things to ponder. She gripped him up like a vice and put a headlock around found him so gnarly Hulk Hogan would have quit making racist burners on Twitter for a minute just to shed a tear. And completely involuntarily, Satan produced a shriek from the tippy top of his vocal cords that he didn't even know he could make, as he watched every last second of his near half century on Earth pass him by while this stranger who was supposed to have no motion ragdolled him like an Unreal Engine beta test dummy. And between the blood-curdling screams, Satan could swear he heard the young lady attempting to say something to him, and in between his heart palpitations, he realized he was right. In no position to argue with their demands, Satan for the first time shut his lips as a black woman was talking and allowed her to state her business before assimilating into the sweet release of death. Hey, yeah, you listening to me, Macho Man Randy bitch ass? Got a proposition for you. Seems to me like you like being the champ. As his bladder shut down and he prepared to enter the final stage of grief, he wondered where this young lass might be going with this. Hey, you listening, old man? Nod your head once if you can hear me before I rip your nutsack off feet first in front of all these people. Hercule didn't even know what that meant, but he nodded anyway because he was pretty sure whatever she meant, she wasn't exaggerating. Yeah, that's what I thought. So how about this, big fella? I'll let you keep being the champ. Only thing I need from you is 20 million zenny for taking the fall. See, that ain't so bad, right? You get to keep being the city's golden boy. I can make rent, put my daughter through school, and I can finally move into a house where a 107-year-old man and a literal pig aren't trying to put me on X videos every time I need to hop in the shower. Everyone's a winner, right? Hercule couldn't believe it. He was sure as his palms were hairy that this was the end of the man known as Hercule Satan, but here Blondie was giving him not only his life, but allowing him to keep his reputation, and all it would take was a few lousy zenny. He might have to reschedule a couple of those trips to Thailand he was planning, but all things considered, this was nothing less than a gift from the gods. But 18 was beginning to lose her patience. She tightened the lock again just to remind this numbskull what kind of situation he was in, and once again asked the man the question. Well, less of a question, more of a threat. Did they have a deal? His reputation and his life for 20 million zenny? Or should she just turn him inside out right here, let his fans know he's faker than Bulma Chi-Chi's friendship? With a final yelp, Satan wholeheartedly agreed to the arrangement, telling 18 the 20 mil is hers and that he's willing to play ball if she is. 18 then got into her WWE bag and flew away from Satan violently, as if the force of his thunderous muscles had finally propelled her backwards and toward the edge of the arena. And like that, the show had begun. Upon seeing 18's loss in the power struggle, the crowd began to roar, eagerly awaiting their hero's next move as he prepared to show this cocky upstart what a real martial artist looked like. But not, of course, before he cut a promo. This man Satan is too much, bro. Really cannot help himself. Despite being in the ring with a lion who was being gracious enough to give him an out, Satan starts getting in his bag, going full disrespect mode. Bro was letting it all out, calling her all sorts of broads and sweet cheeks, talking about her forehead, calling her man short, all sorts of absolutely profane gutter trash, and embodying fully the old adage of give a man an inch and he'll take a mile. Reaching the limit of what she can handle, 18 mutters under her breath, "You got one more time to say something about my forehead before I cut this deal and rip your mustache straight off your face. Time's up, douchebag." Hercule read that one loud and clear and proceeded to finally move in for the kill. 18 gut checked Buddy just to remind him whose rodeo this was, and then gave him his final instructions. Grab her and throw her across the ring, then hit her with whatever god-awful finishing move he had planned so she can sell it, collect her check, and never have to step foot in this circus again. Hercule obliged, and after tossing her away, Satan prepares his Hisots Satan Ogi, Satan Miraculous Special Ultra Super Mega Top Punch! The attack hits 18 square in the face, and for a moment, the audience is breathless, sure that he must have killed her unleashing such a mighty blow on an unsuspecting young girl. 18 was likely in more disbelief than the audience, in pure unmitigated shock that this was the most power this man could produce. And mid-match, she couldn't help but ask, "Bro, is it really over? That's actually the best you got?" Satan, clearly no stranger to this kind of conversation with a lady, bashfully tells her, this never happens. I must be stressed from all this hype, a little performance anxiety." And with yet another unsatisfying climax to add to the laundry list, 18 goes flying out of the ring in dramatic fashion, a good 15 seconds after the blow had already connected. Satan, realizing that he was on the cusp of a PR nightmare, came up with an excuse only a champion could scheme of. Informing the layman in the audience, he spent the better part of a decade mastering a punch with a delayed impact to throw off the rhythm of his most powerful foes. "After training alone in the wilderness, fighting bears and throwing 10 million punches every day shirtless in the rain, I finally mastered it, and today was the debut." Satan raised his arms in victory, and the baffled crowd sprang to their feet, and all they just got to witness martial arts history in front of their eyes. The debut of the Satan Miracle Beautiful Super Genuine Punch had won the day, and the people's champion had once again maintained his throne. And while Satan soaked up the glory of his immaculate victory, 18, as she walked out of the venue, left him a quick message. I'll be by tomorrow 5 p.m. If y'all have my Zenny ready and unmarked bills and a set of no more than 6 duffels, I'm gonna come to your mansion and have that place looking crazier than Osama's foxhole in 2011. Have a great day. And here, with the 18's promise to our tag team buddy, is where we'll call it. Homies, this episode was mad fun, can't even lie to you. The Buu Saga has so many little moments like this that get lost in the shuffle of the bigger arcs, but are well worth revisiting on their own merits. And 18 running the gauntlet to the tournament finals fits that bill to a T. Tune in next time as we finally get to see young Gohan do his thing in his first real test on the battlefield since Cell, as he prepares to stand toe-to-toe with Hell's King, Dabura. Will Dabura prove all bark and no bite like his companions that came before? Or is the king of the demon realm just as big of a threat as Supreme Kai feared? Tune in next time to find out. Be easy, homies, and catch you again in the next video.